Well, hello. Welcome to another edition of Countercharge Live. So we are
Oh,
super.
Look
We're all
at
here.
look at
We're all
Alex with his
here.
pro setup too. Look at him. It's
Yeah, I
like
know.
a
What's
grand-
going on, Alex? What happened?
We painted the dining room finally over Christmas, and I don't have the AC on in my office upstairs, so I'm taking over the first floor.
Well, I have a fan going on over here, and I don't care. So I'm
Yeah.
just loud. It doesn't matter. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's 98 degrees here, 85% humidity. You guys can suck it.
It was 33 degrees yesterday.
Well, we have a lot to talk about tonight. We have a lot of tasty topics. One is we want to share with you the entries from the April challenge, which was the last month of our multi-month challenge. I think that was either a hero, a war engine, or a monster. So we're going to take you through some of those. We posted that we wanted to talk about narrative gaming. Are we doing enough as a community for narrative gamers? And we got a great response on that. But before we get there, Jeremy, esteemed Magic One, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
holder of my wizard staff.
Yeah, we got some really like powerful topics to talk about tonight. So I had to like summon all of the power available to me. Yeah, it's been continuing to paint a bunch. I got my first game of Firefight in on yesterday with Kyle Timberlake on Tabletop Simulator. He's like a big fan of Tabletop Simulator. We have Kings of War scenes both on UB and Tabletop Simulator. And Tabletop Simulator has a lot of resources for sci-fi skirmish style games. So Kyle built the framework for a firefight table with all the command tokens and dice and everything you need for firefight. So we played the first game of that while I was assembling the last stuff for my Twilightkin army. So I was like double dipping in armies, getting 2 projects ready. But it was super fun. We had an awesome time. That game is super smooth. It played exactly how I hoped it would play. He ended up beating me with his GCPS. I had Asterians, but I had one sniper that kept alive, kept running around shooting and destroying his meal transports. So I was imagining this one lone sniper shooting the bullet through the glass, hitting the guy driving the thing, and it would just like
Thud.
veer off, but
it kind of softly, gently rolls into the edge of the
exactly
road.
because he kept trying to like roll over my dudes with his transports, but really elegant rules system, tons of fun, easy to play. So
Awesome.
basically, just did that. I had a game with doing some other UB stuff, still testing the Twilightkin list, but it's locked in for Masters, so now it's just paint. Just got to get it painted.
Awesome. Matt, how about you? What do we got going on down under?
On Down Under. So I've started.
You sound sick still. You getting any better? A little bit.
I'm still a little bit choked up actually, and not just with emotion. So yeah, emotion. Just seeing you two dressed up. I'm trying to control myself.
Hey man, that's how we do it in America.
Yeah, so I have started painting the horde of guys to go on the base with the unpainted rocks, and I also did my first test halfling for our Mantic Challenge, which is starting in June.
Awesome.
Yep, and I'm prepping. I'm actually going to a tournament too at the end of July.
Shocker.
Start of July.
Shocker.
I know. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Shocker.
What are you taking to the tournament? Base aliens?
I'll take my dwarves.
Your dwarves? Cool.
Because I don't know if I'll... given the challenge we've got coming up, I don't know if I'll finish my horde of swordsmen in time that I'd want to take. So we'll see. But I might take them if they're ready in time. I quite like taking... If I did, I would take them as Brother Mark and run the formation.
Yeah, one of the guys around here has been running that formation for the last few 1 days, and it looks like a lot of fun.
It's fun, and also run it with 2 Palace Guard hordes, so you just got an army full of hammers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is very different to my dwarf play style, so that's why I like playing it like that. The dwarf is very much war of attrition, might not kill much, see what's standing at the end, but yeah. So if I can get my horde done, I may take that.
Awesome. How about you, Alex?
Well, I've been kind of going through my orcs. I ordered a Kredron Wing Slasher and the War Drum. I think before the last podcast, I was still waiting for that one. But then I just kind of did an accounting of what I have. What I have available for the Mantic Army Challenge. So I think I'll probably end up with a couple hordes of Great Axe, some Morax, Trolls, and I have 20 Gore Riders. So I'm going to probably do a couple regiments of those and maybe a Skulk Outrider conversion with the Skulk infantry guys. So, and then we just started a slow grow league here at Black Knight Games in Hamilton. We got a bunch of new players over the pandemic, and there's a whole bunch of people who are kind of on the fringes of committing to the playing. So we thought it'd be a good time to get people playing games regularly in the store and have like some lead up into King Beyond the Wall in August. So we're going to have, 500 point checkpoints every 2 weeks. It's going to be pretty aggressive and fast for a fast grow league, and have a one-day tournament in July, and then we'll have a month before King Beyond the Wall on August 13th, 14th at Black Knight Games, just to kind of get things going here. I think we have a bunch, probably like 4 or 5 guys at least already that are new to the community involved. So, and we're going to get these people also involved in the Countercharge Mantic Army challenges at the same time, like I am, but I'm doing it with 2 different armies, not the smart way, doing it with the same army. So I have
Nice.
2
Awesome.
regiments / horde of knights and my honor guard test model to do this week. So I'm going to probably run him as a Baron in the slow grow league, the Baron on Airles.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice. And it looks like Billy's going to do Firefight for the Mantic Challenge. Just looking at the comments there, Rob.
Yep.
And
we
Joe
a bunch of
Croner's
us
watching
locally.
us.
Yeah, a
We
bunch of
haven't
us
had Yumi
locally have bought
around for a while.
Firefight.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of people here have bought it too. It's actually, I think it might take off as a Kings of War B game for a lot of players.
I don't know.
around here.
Looking at the rules, it might become an A game, man, because
Yeah.
the rules are tight.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too, and the stores are, a lot of new plastic coming out for it, so it's pretty exciting times.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I've got a tournament at the end of or the beginning of next month. It's the Bug Eater GT, and for that event, I had to make a Plague Doctor. So my resin guy said, "Hey, go on Hero Forge, make a Plague Doctor, and I'll print it out for you." So I'm going to show you what I did.
Mm.
This is my Plague Doctor.
Oh, nice.
So
wow.
kind of a
Gee,
gunslinger,
Forges
but he
come
has
a
no
long way,
guns.
haven't they?
So he's a gunslinger with no guns, but he's got lots of potions. And he's got a badass staff.
Nice.
Mm.
So
Is that going to be for your ogres then, or for your
yeah?
half-
So I'm taking ogres one more time, and
Mhm.
I'll have this little goblin Plague Doctor with him to give. Oh, because he's broke as shit. Like he, they gave him heal 6, celestial restoration, and a couple other spells, and like you could do 2 spells in a turn on once per game. So I have Namagrok with heal 7, him with heal 6, drain life 8. I'm like, dude, this is dumb. So,
Mm.
So
He's
for
got a-
Hero
he's got a
Forge,
side
can
profile to rival me too.
yeah.
for Hero Forge, can you just design it and not have them print it for you and just get?
I just bought the
STL
the
give it
STL. It
to
was $7.99 for the
cool.
STL.
I've never,
downloaded it.
I've never really messed.
Oh, that's
on
pretty
Hero
cool.
Forge.
That's
Yep.
not a bad price.
No, and I bought it, and I was on it for like 2 or 3 hours this night just playing with it. The software is pretty powerful.
Yeah, it's come a long way.
Yep, for sure, Jimmy. Bug Eater has a notorious track record of giving us overpowered characters to play with, be it a giant with Wind Blast, or in the case of this, the Plague Doctor. So I'm excited. But that's not what we're here to talk about. I think first up, we wanted to talk about some some people that participated in our April challenge. So I figured we could kind of walk through some of the cool models and maybe comment on them.
Mm.
And then when we're done with that, we'll jump to our main topic, which is about narrative gaming and are we doing enough as a community? So this is Matthew Temple. I like this Ogre Palace Guard with wings, pretty good. Let's see, Travis
They're a
Cook.
vampire,
Travis
I guess
Cook.
it's- yeah,
Travis
okay.
Cook. Always really
That's really
nasty,
nice.
nasty, yeah, really nasty undead looking
Mhm.
stuff.
I like
Cool.
that base too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like how it's covered the whole side, right? Like it's completely covered.
Yeah.
The texture goes all the way
Mhm.
over.
Perfect for Riley out there. No,
But
no
I was
black.
going to say, Riley won't like that. This side's
No.
not painted black. No.
And we
His
got
eye,
Britain.
his eye is twitching out there.
I'm assuming these are
Mhm.
blasters for an ogre.
Yeah,
army?
Britain. That's for
Brenton's,
Britain's
blasters.
ogres, yeah.
yeah.
O- only guy I know that would use like a $50 model for
I was gonna
for a
say,
65 point unit.
I love it. I love
I
it.
love it too.
It's like Jurassic Park, Rob. You spare no expense when you're
No,
doing
you're
the hobby
right.
army.
No expense.
This
No
is
expense.
Spare-
a
spare-
Class
luxury
act.
army.
This one is a little sentimental for me. This is Dustin Howard, but for those who don't know, this is the model itself came from the gentleman that passed away. The guy that had the Egyptian ogre army last year, not this year,
Yep.
but last year at Lone Wolf, Kelly, and he passed away. And this was one of his like things that didn't get finished, so it ended up in Dustin's possession, and Dustin finished it as like a legacy to him. So really, really great model. Dustin did a great job with it, and it whooped my ass pretty hard at Lone Wolf. Let's see. Oh, we got some more. All right, so more Steve Evans. Here we go. Let me find one that's maybe more done. That's a cool looking coral
Steve is a
giant.
machine, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
it's
he Toby?
I don't know. He's got to be retired, right, or a pensioner or something. Because man, how does he have the time? I'm like, he posts like an
Between all
army
his
like every other
videos
week.
and-
Yeah. He's always posting
Yeah.
new pictures.
Yeah, awesome stuff. We got Matt Temple. There's for those counting at home. There's the three Temple brothers, Marshall, Matt, and I
Don't
don't
tell me
know
it's another M.
it is another M. It's another M. Yes,
Matt's the
Oh.
one with like the green and purple Abyssals army. right?
Abyssals. And I think Marshall's the one
Matt.
with
It's not Michael or something, is it?
no. I think Marshall's the one with Ratkin, and then I think the other one has Kingdoms of Men or something. But hopefully we'll see it. I feel bad forgetting the
Yeah.
man's name. Mark.
When was the last time you saw that many temples in one spot?
So Mark, Matt, and Marshall. There it is. Here it is. Thank you, unknown Facebook
Leave-
user.
That's Felix.
let me
Leave it to
see.
Felix for the
Unknown,
intel.
it was
Yep.
Felix.
Felix is out.
Yeah.
We got nothing on Tom. We got our own Felix.
Mhm.
Looking tasty. Little ogre warlock, I assume,
Nice.
for Michael Smith.
Yeah, that's
Looking
nice
great.
looking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Looks like a conquest model,
Oh yeah,
Uh,
the new the dinosaur orcs they have.
but they're like feathers, right?
Mhm.
And some
Mhm.
scales, kind of interesting. That's
Mhm.
Wade. Wade's a
Accurate.
guy out of San Diego. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Sylvan Kid Air Elementals from Scott Bradley. Let's see what they got. Super cool. I
I
like,
like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that
That
It almost looks like he's
I
humping
wonder
the-
where that's from.
Is he humping the tree? What's going on there?
I think
taking
that's
a
for
deuce?
Asgard. The
What's
Asgard
going on?
Rising STLs. I think that's a really cool
Okay.
set.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know
Let's-
where his main twig is, but you know.
Well, I'm just wondering because that's the pose my dog takes every morning. So let's get maybe another shot. I don't know
Oh,
what to
there
say,
we go.
guys.
It's
I
clean.
apologize.
It's
I apologize, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, if you hear my nose, or the way I sound stuffed up, I had deviated septum surgery last Thursday, and they still haven't taken these damn splits out of my nose, and it's absolutely bonkers. I am like,
AKA you had a nose job.
yeah. Well, they didn't fix it though. It's still broken, right? It's still crooked. But at least now the passages in between, the air is flowing equally. But damn, dude, Wednesday cannot get here soon enough to get these damn splits that are shoved up my nose out of there. I just
From all that time of Rob playing Warhammer in the Northeast back in the day of all the fist fights.
Yeah.
From
Yes,
table
that's
he had to get
exactly
he had
right.
to get his nose like
Exactly.
Don't think you sound bad at all.
I will say, for all you guys making fun, those of you that have to spend time with me in a room in the future, the story won't be as bad. So suck it.
Mhm.
That's a pretty sweet dwarf. by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, it's super sweet. That's actually a Mantic dwarf too, which is I
Yeah.
really like. It's an
That's
older
really
one. I forget the name of him.
Yeah, it's really well painted.
So
Berserker
Rob,
Lord or something.
He came up. He didn't. You put his thing up, but it's Facebook user because he can only do so much. But looks like Brian Brodier is in the chat.
So you said
know
that, and I
were-
was looking,
you were
but I
trying to
don't
get
see
him-
it.
Yeah, you
were trying to
Oh
get him-
no, there he is. Is that
trying to
Brian
get him down to
Brodeur?
Kings
Oh
of Myth.
my god.
Yeah, that's Brian Brodier.
Man, Brian, come to Memphis. Bring your son. Let's get back into the swing of things.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool orc. I'm liking it.
Yeah.
And Cara Brown's loving your hats.
Oh, thank you. I am King Leonidas.
thank
For those
you.
that know, I'm one of the 300 Spartans, and I have my I don't know what you are. My magical apprentice. I don't know. What are you?
Yeah, I'm just living the magic life.
Okay.
He's the handler of the magic staff.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sure. And we got somebody that's painted up some of these. What are these called? Sky Strikers or something? What are they called?
I think these are his characters. This is Nathan. He's a local guy. He painted
Sweet.
He painted these Riftforge, a full, probably 20 regiments of Riftforged orcs in a couple weeks, and showed up to the
Wow,
tournament.
that's impressive.
It was insane, and they're all on floating rocks. It's intense. Everything
That's
in the
awesome.
army is floating on a rock.
Cool.
It's amazing.
Super cool. I like the pink eyes and the blue color
Yeah.
scheme. Here we go. Now, if I recall correctly, this is the gentleman that showed us halflings for the first few months, and now he switched over to some knights, some
Oh, nice.
classic Empire knights.
Those are classic Reichsguard.
Yeah, but not painted up like Rice Guard. But,
No.
I guess kind of Blazing Sun, maybe.
Oh, maybe that's the. Or,
He's got the sun here.
yeah, this little mix.
It's okay. It's in
Tra-
Panaflor.
Travis thought you were
And-
Marvin the Martian. Rob.
What's that?
Travis thought you were Marvin the Martian. with
Oh well,
hat.
yeah, I could see.
Yeah.
I can't do the. I wish I did. I wish I could do the accent, but no.
And Luke wants you to show your 6-pack and pecs, Leonidas.
Well, it's about a 12-pack actually, and they're big and doughy, so nobody wants to see that.
So this,
The keg.
now. Did you guys see the painted version released by Mantic?
No,
Yeah, there was an image for it. It was really good. I'll look for it in the background.
Oh, the
Oh,
shrine, the Riftforged shrine.
Yeah.
so this is Billy,
Yeah.
who I think at this point has not won a game yet with Riftforge. So
Yeah.
It's a nice grey.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
working on Hellstrikers now, and they're looking very nice.
little visible Riley. Yeah, nice
That's
black
pretty
base
rad.
on his basing. Yeah.
hmm
Mhm.
Although you can see it looks a little like you missed a bit on the very left edge there, but good OSL.
Right here?
Oh, it does,
Fail.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Horrible.
Oh,
Minus
Yeah.
1 point.
Trash.
that's back to the draw.
Not gonna win best painted.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Ben Stoddard got a planner operation for Night Stalkers. Super cool. What model range
What?
is that?
That's cool.
What
I
is
think
it?
is that one of the Nolzers, the new D&D ones? Like the new, I think
I'm
that
not
looks
sure.
like something from there. Maybe not. Looks.
We got more from Nathan and his. Wow, you're right. He's got LEDs in it too.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like
Hardcore.
first tournament he shows up and it's like a box full of that. Like all is like
Wow,
20,
that's cool.
20 regiments of like Riftforged of like the Legionaries. It was just like intense.
All just floating.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Looks like somebody's painting up some Hydras. Chase will be at Kings of Memphis. He's from Southern Mississippi, so
Very
I think
cool.
he's from the Delta. I don't know, down there
I-
along the coast.
Gotta love someone who's gonna run 2 Hydras.
Well, you know what? We had this conversation. You'll hear it Wednesday,
Yeah.
and I questioned Trent because he had 2 Hydras in the list.
They're
Uh,
really
and then-
good value.
Well,
They're-
he said he copied it from Garrett
Yeah.
Mercier, right?
Yeah.
So at first I was like, I don't understand why you have it, but then I'm thinking about it like, yeah, you're not there for attacks. It's there for the regen and the 16-18 nerve at
Mhm.
150 points, I think. Right?
Yeah, it's a
So-
steal. It gets
Yeah.
for 150 points, it is a really good value.
Here's Aeneas.
Oh, nice.
Now, Richard Luke, that's a Aussie. Matt,
Hey,
is this an Aussie? Richard Luke,
no, don't think so.
English? Okay. All right.
Not sure.
Well, guys, what do I hire you for?
That's why you pay us the negative.
Well, I pay you the
Yeah,
big
exactly.
bucks. That's right. All right, here we go. This is cool. Super
Oh, classic.
Oh, I like
cool. Yeah,
that.
I like it. Looking really
That's
cool.
the Truth Sayer from Dogs of War, like way back.
He came with the Albion Giants, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's like a 5th edition mini, I think.
It looks like we've got Travis is working on his. I'm not sure what this is. What is this? This is supposed to be. Well, it's probably a big guy on a. I mean,
Big deal, or is it?
it's
like
a bit.
or
It's Abyssal Dwarves. It's Abyssal Dwarves.
Oh.
So
I think that's his.
Elfane?
You know,
Elfane?
no, the
Infernos?
caster on the thing
Oh,
Oh,
Overmaster.
on a half breed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. I'm liking this. This is Paige, right? Yeah, Paige. I'm
Oh,
liking
very nice.
Paige putting in the effort, man. With all the there it is. Travis is correcting us. Overmaster, an
yeah.
ancient winged half breed.
Yeah,
Nice,
there you go.
Travis.
Yeah.
Nice.
He showed
And
that.
then-
He's been working on that on After Dark.
This is awesome. I love all
I-
the turbines, dude. Did a great
I-
job.
Yeah, his Abyssal's army is looking great.
Oh, here it is, finished.
Oh, very
Almost.
nice.
And again, I like
Yeah,
the.
I think
I like
it
the
looks
basing.
great.
Basing looks
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Looks really good.
Here we go. Another Rodian Halfling Master Sergeant.
Oh, cool.
That's a color ski up your alley, Alex.
Yeah, I can
Black and
appreciate
yellow,
that.
baby.
It
Yeah,
just
black and
works.
yellow
It
classic.
just works.
Yeah, it does.
He looks angry too, don't you think?
Yeah, I like that.
Mhm.
You know what? I don't know if he did it intentionally, but that is like a really great take on that old Bretonian Duke model with the axe.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If-
Lord Page Neo Soul Genies. That's pretty
cool.
cool. He sculpted this and he added the zombie.
I like
bits.
it.
Yeah, looks really great.
That's
Mhm.
it's a good idea for Tortured Souls.
Grant Alexander painted the Titan. Nice.
Ooh,
The old War Mahords model.
yeah. The Trollbloods. There's a Trollbloods army around here. John McCready uses. It's awesome. They're such great minis.
Mhm.
And this is the last one. This is Travis. He finished it. Looks a lot better with
Oh.
the wings, boys.
Yes.
Oh,
Looks
yeah.
very intimidating.
Now it is an ancient winged half breed.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
love I love how
Yeah.
angry the face of the half breed looks.
Mhm.
It just looks really grumpy.
Nice, nice texture on the feathers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like,
Well, guys-
It's
it's,
not
good.
easy to do.
It's hard to do white and make it interesting, right? That's a good job.
Mhm.
Well, next
Yeah,
up,
no, that looks good.
we wanted to touch on a topic, and I'll set the stage, and I'll set where it's coming from. So last Wednesday, I went to the store as I always do, and I had just my regular case with my tournament army because that was from Kansas City GT. That was what was in the car, right? So like I had my ogres, my kick you in the nuts ogres list, and my good friend Nick Gunther said, "Hey, I want to practice for the Blue Sea Brawl." I said, "Well, Nick, I only have my ogres, so and I don't have any other models, so we could do that, but just know that this list is probably not going to be representative of what you're going to see at the event, right? Because the Blue City can be sort of a little bit softer, gentler. Well, except for Jeff O'Neill and Nathan Cuttinger, everybody else can be softer. So they basically built two 1,000 point armies, right? Like they would for Blue City Brawl, and I built one 2,000 point army, and I played them. And it dawned on me about 10 minutes into the game, this is not the game that I really want to be playing. Like, and I don't think they really want to be playing because I have like a really tough kick you in the nuts list. They had two armies, which are really, I think they picked up for maybe color choice or scheme. It was Night Stalkers and Halflings, but they didn't have anything in the list other than Bloodworms with the Hammer of Measured Force that could do anything to Siege Breakers. So it was really one-sided, right? To the point where I was embarrassed. I was like, this is ridiculous, you know? And so that got me
Well, at
thinking.
least we know you can feel shame.
Yeah, I can feel shame.
Just
Well, five Siege Breakers hordes is shameful, right? This was only 4. So
that's just normal. That's
yeah.
great.
Well, actually, I had to actually take Siege Breaker hordes out because it was only 2,000 points. So I don't even remember what was in the list. But the point is, you know, halfway through the game, I'm like, it's obvious that like what they're looking to get out of the game is different than what I thought they were just trying to get reps in, right? But really, they really just wanted to just learn their rules, play with their armies, try to work out the synergies between their armies, and hopefully not get tabled, right, in the process. But they chose to like just run at me. And they did. They ran at me like full scream ahead. And I just punched them back and they all died. So where I'm coming from is that it got me thinking about narrative play. And I'm not saying they're narrative players, but it got me thinking, when you show up to the store with an army, and we got some great comments today, like from Bart Kohler, right? Really great comments. But do you guys show up and are we being conscious of people that are there for different reasons, right? We're not all there just to win a tournament, right? We're not all there to like sharpen iron. Some people are just there to pass the time. Some people are there just to roll some dice. So I'll kind of maybe turn it over to you guys to give me your initial impressions, and then maybe we'll turn it over to what people have put on our thread, kind of walk through the thread, and that'll hopefully stimulate a discussion. So, I mean, the question is, are we doing enough for narrative gamers in our current Kings of War international scene? Tough question.
Why don't you start, Jeremy?
I think it is a tough question, and I think it's a question that I don't think as a community we know the exact answer to. So I think you'll hear our opinions tonight, but we're not coming from the point of we've solved the mystery of how to make a miniature game great for anyone, no matter where you are on that spectrum to play it. I think that's something that we're still figuring out how to do. I mean, I think they're not mutually exclusive. I mean, you can have games that play both well at the tournament competitive level and that can also play well in the narrative level. I just think that you need to have sort of two discussions. You have the discussion from the player side, which is if we're meeting on Tuesday night for a game night, be like, what are we doing? Are we practicing for a tournament? Are we just having fun? Have that like pre-discussion, which I think in other game systems is so much more important than it is in Kings, but still important in Kings to have that sort of pre-game discussion.
Yeah.
And then the other side of that.
Steve makes a good point. You don't bring it to, but this wasn't a demo. Like he literally said, bring out your tournament army. We want to play against your tournament army. And I don't think he knew what he was asking for. Like, I don't think it was hitting on the same level, but
I think what Jeremy's saying, like expectations are important. Like what are the expectations from both players and from all the players who are going to be at the store or the, gaming club that day? And it's like, you have to know what you're getting into. So or be open to learning what you're getting into. Like the new players, like if you're like, I want to play against the tournament list, but I've never done that. I have to know that it may go poorly. Right. But I think having those expectations is very important.
Yeah, I think the we in your question comes down to, is the we us or is the we Mantic? And I don't think it's on Mantic at all. It's on the various group of players and the people on how they play the game. And yeah, I think you just got to have those expectations of what are you into. I mean, I guess we're in very different situations here where yes, we have tournaments, but the vast majority of our games are, tournaments are a little bit fewer and far between. So it's not so much about prepping for tournaments. We just play Kings, doesn't mean we don't play Kings in the garage to kick each other's teeth in. Some of the worst lists I've played are in garage games.
Yep.
And then
you go.
I was just going to say, and then for me, I only play in tournaments because there's no one local to play with. So I think, like you say, it's very dependent on like where you are and like what your local options for.
And I think, in our group here, it's like there are people who play on Friday nights and there's people who come, only for the one-day tournaments on Saturdays. And then there's a smaller subset of people who will travel to 2-day tournaments. And it's like you have your, I don't know, tiers of seriousness, with respect to winning. But then it's also just the people who go to more events play more often typically. So there's just there's a skill gap as well. So I think, and I've said this before, like having a balanced rule set lets you have those competitive tendencies, but then you can still have the just play for fun, hang out times as well, because the game is more balanced. It's not going to have as many gotchas or weird moments.
Well,
so
let me counter. For some people in garage gaming, I guess the weird moments.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let me counter that, right? Like,
and this is the thing too of like a 10-year-old game versus a 30-year-old game.
Yeah,
is that and being balanced is there's less weird moments, but also you have less of, oh, let's play this because I read this in this story, you know? Yeah, so I think it depends what you're looking for in the game. If you're looking for those weird moments that are just out there and they're not part of competitive, then Kings isn't going to be for you, full stop.
Yeah,
Probably.
Where I was going is that a lot of narrative players want to play in those gray areas, right? And they play games like Frostgrave, which is completely unbalanced,
Yes.
like to the point of being unhinged, right? Which they go into it knowing that, and also knowing that they're playing with a group of people that have some self-control, right? And they kind of regulate themselves, if you will. So but you know, to your point though, you know, I don't know why you can't coexist, right? Narrative players should be able to use a balanced rule set, right? By adding on their own stuff. They can add their own tweaks to the rules, right? So
I think, well, yeah, if you have a balanced core, you can move out from that if you want. Otherwise, it's like trying to I'm going to play Frostgrave competitively. Like that is a task that just is pointless, right?
Yeah, and Brian brings up a very good point, right? The lens that the greater outside community outside of Kings of War looks at us, I think most people would say it's a tournament game. And just when you put that moniker on it, that's going to detract some people, right? Some people are going to go, not for me, right?
Absolutely.
Even if it's not a legitimate concern.
I think also
I just want to go off topic for a second. And Jeremy was talking in the background to Hillary there. Was she asking you if you'd wear the hat to bed tonight, Jeremy?
No, that was not a loving interaction. So
all right.
I think that was ridicule.
Was it a pathway to mastery, Jeremy?
No. But I was just going to say, like what you're saying is true, right? Not every game is going to be everything to everyone, but you can look at ways to make it playable by different types of players. I see a lot now in games, and you know, it's interesting because another Mantic product does that in the new Firefight book. Is it specifically has competitive scenarios and narrative scenarios, so it has the different styles of play baked into the book. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something interesting to have, that if you want some craziness, that's something they could look at, you know, putting in some more wacky. Yep. I mean, we have those in the summer campaigns, right? Of scenarios.
Right. Well, like Halpi's Rift, and
but maybe you
campaigns
put that
with asymmetric play. Yeah.
Maybe you put 6 narrative scenarios into the main rule book, you know, and one with, different asymmetrical deployment, or, you know, the sort of elements that people like. Yeah. You know,
like a scenario that, you know, one side is going to lose, but you're going to try and figure out how to lose best, you know, or something like that. And
I mean, to be fair, that stuff's not there, like in the various Clash of Kings books. Like there is the Creaky Gamers guy that I'll be doing a podcast with. Like Keith, they played through the Storm in the Shires, or whatever it's called, campaign. You know, there is some campaign element provided for us. It's just it doesn't get the airtime. I mean, I would suggest that probably pure garage gamers probably aren't doing a lot of listening to our podcast.
Right. I think
that's possible.
Just to go back to about like how the perception is that Kings is a tournament game. And I think it was Bart Kohler made a good comment about there is a misperception of what tournaments are. Right?
Correct.
We like you go to a Kings tournament, it's not a bunch of win at all cost 40K players, or, you know, how 6th edition through 8th edition fantasy, that's the tournaments are like. It's not that vibe. Like it's a much more of a hangout vibe. There are very serious players, but like that's like probably a third of each player base attendees. So I think the term tournament is off-putting, but what a Kings tournament is not what people think tournaments are. Yeah,
like the term tournament, and then there are the term competitive play. You know, those have connotations. They have a kind of a sense of inertia of what those terms mean in wargaming. Right. And I don't think those are necessarily true for Kings. But there is something to be said about knowing what type of game you want. Yes. And if you want something that is that crazy, you know, should you try a different game as opposed to forcing something out of a game that maybe it doesn't inherently have?
Let me ask this question: is the distinction between competitive and narrative the desire to win? Is that the difference?
Well, the thing is, I don't even know
that's the suggestion.
Yeah, and competitive narrative, and I think Garage Gamer. I don't think they're all like. I think they're different groups. I think narrative doesn't necessarily mean Garage Gamer, and Garage Gamer doesn't necessarily mean non-competitive. Or it's just I like we keep saying like, what do you want out of the game? And not every game is going to be everything to everybody, right? So
Well, let's cover a few of these topic comments we've got. So Nick Brooks starts us off. He just basically says, I think garage games are the seed we want to plant just so the game expands and grows, but the pinnacle should be the GTs. It's where we get to meet so many great people with amazing armies and help you grow your game. It's like looking at a garden instead of looking at a single potted plant, if that makes sense. I mean, I kind of see where he's coming from. I think what he's saying is, the narrative, everybody's important. Narrative, competitive, they're all important for the growth of the scene. But obviously, right now, the pinnacle of that is the GTs, and I'm not 100% sure that has to be the case. There could be narrative events, right, like they do in AOS or like they do in Middle Earth, where you show up and it really doesn't matter, or 40K Heresy or 30K,
or
right?
game days. Doesn't have to be a
yeah.
narrative day. Just a game day.
yeah,
And there's no winners or losers. It's just
or just
to play it.
good versus evil mega battles or something like that kind of thing. Just like
Exactly. Kyle Peach out of Minnesota also mentions, his scene. He's got a lot of He's got a healthy scene with a lot of good competitive players. But the majority of the games he can play are tournament caliber lists, and he wonders if that might be off-putting to people who are not interested in the competitive side of the game. And I guess that's one of the most important things is if you're in a new scene or in building a scene, you've got to understand the customer, right? Like, what do they want? Do they just want a game of just show up and we won't keep score? Do they want,
absolutely.
You give people what they want, right? Go ahead, Alex.
Oh no, I think I think we've kind of hit on it. Like when you go to are you practicing for a tournament? Are you playing in that mindset when you go to the store on Friday night or on the Saturday afternoon? Or is it like, bring a fun list, bring a competitive list? Like there's a couple of us in our group that have been told that people don't want to play against us on Friday night because it's like, if they know we're bringing our big boy lists, it's going to be a bad night.
Look at Billy's comment.
Important. There's a differentiation between games night at the store and tournaments.
Yes.
Right. And I think we've seen that when we've had more stores with Kings of War, that's when the scene grows. The scene doesn't grow necessarily from tournaments, particularly if it's not multi-system, because there's no one there to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So
all you have is the faithful at that point.
Yeah.
So you already have the converted people. So yes.
Yeah. So
the
I think
stores are
making a distinction between potentially what happens at game stores is interesting.
Yep.
Or, I think a comment's made about this further down, that if you're playing a newer player, maybe you have to deliberately make some mistakes.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I will just pull all the magic items out of my list immediately, or pull a unit, right? And play it, just for a learning game, just to give them something.
Yeah, or like when I'm running a demo, I don't pre-measure. I just move everything and won't pre-measure anything, but let my opponent. And it's not because it's more of like a thing, just to make it so that like those instincts, you put aside some of those higher caliber or those playing at a higher level instincts aside to try to make it a welcoming experience.
Play it a little more fast and loose. It makes the game flow a little faster. You give them a few tips. I think to Matt's point about playing in the store, like I think we've seen a big growth here because we've been doing tournaments on Saturdays in the store, because people see us as a community. And I've had feedback from the store to tell me that apparently we look like the community that's having fun. Like we are the ones that are laughing. We're the ones that have camaraderie. We're the ones that show up and everyone's like, wow, those guys, we want to be part of that group because they're actually having fun. And I'm not going to name names of other games, but they don't often look like they're having any fun.
40K.
Yeah.
AOS, War Machine, any of those.
Yeah. Bart makes a good comment too. He has a big comment, but I'm gonna hit on one thing he says. If you're building a list, just build the list and play it. Don't go with the netlist route. I think that's an important thing too. I think a lot of frustration can happen when you bring a high caliber weapon to a game that you don't know how to use. Like you do more damage that way, right? Like just build your list organically and learn to play the list. I mean, the ogres, right? They're out of state now. They're pretty nasty. But like when I started, like I tried it all. I tried Berserker Braves. I tried Hunters. I tried everything. I tried Chariots. And I just slowly came to the conclusion that more Siege Breakers is better than less. And I organically went from a couple ogre Siege Breaker hordes to multiple. And I think that's a good point. If you're getting into the game, just learn to play with what you got.
Well, you look at the current U.S. Master, Keith Conroy, and he's literally played every unit in the herd list for multiple games. And that, he didn't just like build a list and play it. He tried everything to see what could work and what fit his play style and what he liked and what he wanted to have in his army. And then he, practiced with what he ended up with. But like that's a really good approach. Like just try everything, see what fits.
Right.
I think you're asking yourself, like, what are, like if you're a self-professed, self-exclaimed, I'm a narrative player, you're going to want certain things from the experience, right? Or if you say, I'm a tournament player, I'm a highly competitive player, you're going to want certain different experiences. And then there's this third category of I'm a community builder. Then that means that's almost a whole nother level of like how you're sort of stratifying like where you are in that experience. So I think most games are healthiest when they have both types of players. When there's people who just love to play it, they're playing it on the grassroots level. And then I think most of the thriving game systems also have that sort of spine of competitive play, because I think even if you're not interested in competitive play or whatever, I think a lot of people still are following tournaments, they're following results, they're interested to see what lists are doing well. So I think there is still some interest in. I think the competitive play does tend to sort of be that sort of center pole of a community, because usually the people who are running tournaments or community builders are those TOs. They just need to be able to shift into that mode, which is I need to be able to be adaptable and build my local scene to be friendly to all players.
Yeah, you have to set your ego or yourself aside if you want to build community. That's rule number one, right? You have to think about the greater good kind of thing.
Yeah, you can think about what you can. They're not mutually exclusive to think about what is both best for you and what is both best for the group. Right. And take those 2 points and find in the gravity between those, where is there a middle point where both can be served?
Well, that's the thing. It's like everyone benefits if the group is larger and healthier with more players.
No.
So I'll come back to Matt Selig's question in a minute. But in terms of the rule set supporting it, what do you think is the one rule that you would get rid of or change to make it more friendly for any gamer? Rob, you're on mute.
I'm on. Yeah. So look, it's an easy one for me. The whole engage thing, backing up, it's stupid. Just stay engaged and leave it at that. It's added more complexity when it's not needed.
So you're talking about withdraw.
Yeah, withdraw. Just get rid of it. Don't even bother. Yep. And obviously the one that other folks will talk about is the corkscrew. I will admit, the corkscrew does break my immersion because I'm trying to be like, look at me, I'm an orc or I'm an ogre and I'm fighting this battle, but yet I'm fighting these guys in front of me, but I'm going to go fight the friends behind. It doesn't like when people do that, or when I do it. Go ahead.
Yeah. If you remove withdraw though, that significantly decreases the amount of time.
It does. But if you still have a square base, you can still do it.
Yeah. What would you other guys get rid of?
Alex is going to say nothing because he likes it. He thinks it's perfect. He's a Goldilocks game.
It fits. If you got rid of withdraw and corkscrews, I would be unhappy.
Well, what about not? So I think Rob said withdraw, not necessarily. He said he doesn't like corkscrews.
Yeah. I'm just saying those things add depth to the game, and I don't think they're complex, and they are interesting and they're fun. So I think honestly, it is baffling to me how confusing those things are to people.
Well, I would say the counter argument is that has gotten rid of more players than anything. Like we've had players that showed up. Yeah, they're like,
I understand that.
They're like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. We're not playing this game anymore.
I understand that, but we also put we just doesn't. with respect to the corkscrew, which is not the nimble charge, like actual just corkscrews,
Yeah.
there was actual footage of like battle simulator guys with the full armor and stuff like that doing maneuvers that are very similar to that are historical. That is actually, it might break your immersion of how you understand, but it's not actually breaking historicity, you know. So I don't know. That one kind of bugs me a little bit when people complain a lot about it.
Yeah, I personally don't think. I think Withdraw has probably got a lot of confusion around it because people still get it confused between disengaging and withdrawing.
I think it was worded very poorly initially. The fix is better, but I think that first year or two when they had it written very badly, to be frank, really messed up the game. And I think if they had written it properly or better initially, a lot of this would have been cleared up, but it was a mess initially. And a lot of people
I personally don't believe the game would lose much if you got rid of that.
A lot of people played it wrong for a very long time. So
what would you change, Jeremy?
I think you could clarify some stuff. I think the game is probably at a good point to clarify things. I think there's elements of those play styles that are strategic and elements of those play styles that are janky. I would want to clarify and clean up the jankiness, but there's a lot of elements around maneuver that add a deep amount of strategic depth to the game. And maybe that strategic depth to the game is frustrating to newer players. And again, that's something that if you're giving a demo, you should be demoing and teaching your players around, hey, this is a move. Some people can do it. Some units are really good at it. Just so you know, this is how it works.
Absolutely.
I think that, I think ever since the beginning of third, the difference between what a withdrawal move, which is a way that you disengage, versus what is the entire disengage rules. Yes. I think withdraw and disengage became synonymous with each other when actually they're completely different. Yep. It's withdraw is a method that you can use to disengage, but it is not withdraw and disengage are not the same thing.
Yep.
So I think I would probably clarify that. I mean, I think the game is at a really good spot, personally. I mean, I have a blast every time I play it. I think it's really fun. I think clarifying some of the stuff that's maybe confusing in the language is good. But I mean, like sometimes the whole your individual, it's behind a unit, but I'm going to touch the front left corner, which then makes you some of the stuff that they do, which they say is technically possible because of the math, but makes absolutely no sense. I could see I wouldn't mind not having to always make sure my individual is flush with something so that someone can't do some wonky, crazy flying charge that makes no sense.
I feel like individuals, that's a good point. Individual turning to face the charging unit creates a lot of more weird situations than disengage and withdraw, I think.
But there's so many fine movements when you're trying to set battle lines of having units specifically be a couple millimeters ahead or a couple millimeters behind base if you're trying to set up or deny those type of moves, which I think a lot of players would say that they really like that level of depth. But on the other hand, it's perfectly reasonable to have players be like, this is frustrating. So I imagine there's got to be some, maybe there's somewhere in the middle there, that you could work on.
I think Felix makes a good point in the comments too. If corkscrew charges cause folks to leave the game for immersion, they probably weren't that interested in the game in the first place.
Well, let me ask it another way. What other game has a corkscrew mechanic that's ranked flanks? I don't know of another game that has that. Like once you're in combat, that's it. Like every other game I've ever played, once you're in combat, you're locked in till the end, or you're dead. Right?
Right. And it changes. It totally changes the game, though.
Yeah.
Like Luke's saying, it's like it totally it changes what's balanced. What isn't. Like everything would have to be repointed at that point.
I wouldn't miss it if it's gone. I mean, we didn't have it in Warhammer Fantasy, so
no, and that was a flawed game, more deeply flawed.
No,
game
for sure,
for
sure.
So,
there's a lot of things I hate about that game, but we
don't have skirmishers in this game, and I think that the game is better for it.
Brian Berner asked me a question on the side that I want to ask you guys. I think it's an interesting thought experiment. Food for thought: how many games are getting played in public just for fun? I'm talking where 0 players are prepping for an upcoming tournament. You know, that's an interesting thought experiment. Think about your local scene. You know,
I think
and I
most
think-
games here are not specifically, especially in the last year. Like we had a couple events, but no one preps for them. Like the 1 days, no one
Yeah.
preps for those.
I think it's community specific.
Yeah.
We barely play any.
the answer is
tournament
no to this question.
prep
No,
games.
I know there's a difference. You don't have to just engage.
Yeah.
To corkscrew.
Yeah, I think we're talking about the idea of what a nimble charge is versus specifically withdrawing to then do a charge with nimble.
Right.
One
From a
maybe-
unit that
or
you're
even
already
without
engaged
nimble.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one maybe feels is a little janky, whereas nimble charging around things, that's just a part of
That's
the game.
part of the game.
So I think that's the distinction that Rob was making.
Also, if
So,
whoever, I
um,
get someone saying you can't double or triple charge individuals. I'm pretty sure you can. I don't. Is that specific? Is that spelled out somewhere? I don't know that it is. You just wouldn't be able-
no, I've
most wouldn't have the.
You
frontage.
have-
yeah, you wouldn't be able to fit three things, but you can
But if you
triple
hit them in
charge.
different arcs, then that's it.
You
know,
could
from the
triple
front and
charge
side.
three
Oh, yeah.
320 normal infantry into a heavy infantry.
Right. Or hit them from another flank or a
Yeah,
rear.
you could
They don't
easily
turn to
triple
face
charge.
you.
You just have
right?
need smaller frontage.
Yeah.
So here's a question we're having, and this is what I want to pose to you guys.
Yeah.
We're having a lot of talk about what can we do to improve the game, right? Because we all love the game, we're all champions of the game. Where does, as far as people having agency for their voice to be heard, where does the whole idea as far as people who buy Mantic models, people who don't buy Mantic models, people who run events, people who don't run events? I mean, is there a hierarchy as far as you guys feel in regards to people's opinions around these sort of things? Like, does the guy who has $1,000 of Mantic stuff in his garage, but who never tries to build a community or go out and do anything, where does their voice and what they want rank opposed to the guy who maybe doesn't buy a lot of Mantic stuff, but is out there running game days, etc.? Is there like a hierarchy there you guys see?
I don't know if there's like a actual like quality hierarchy, but I think there's an effective like reality hierarchy, and that like the guys building communities and the people playing games, you know, their voice is gonna be heard more. You know, unfortunately, like the four of us have more are higher in the hierarchy of influence than other people for no good reason, really. Like we're just willing to put ourselves
Well, I
out
should
there.
obviously be at the top. You know, it's just a given.
We were down
Based
under.
on, based on shirt alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we can hear
Dumb
you.
question, Jeremy. Dumb question.
I mean, I think it's an interesting thing because we hear a lot of people, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Liking it.
Nice.
I normally am a
Um,
Donatello guy, but I'll go with Leonardo this time. This once.
Well, Leonardo is like the leader, right, Rob? So
Right,
you
yeah,
gotta
so
be
I have
like-
to-
Yeah.
But I don't know. Is Matt really Raphael?
I
Is he
feel like I'm a bit more of
Well,
a
he looks
Raphael
kinda
than Matt.
angry.
But,
Yeah, I would think so.
yeah,
And
we'll see.
Jeremy, you're more of the Michelangelo. Hey, party guy, right? So I
don't
guess that
know.
means no. All right.
I'd have to go back on my turtle character analysis to figure out which thematically one I fit more with. It's been my turtle viewing
Yeah.
has been.
It is the first time someone's turned me into a Ninja Turtle, so I'm just gonna say
Mhm.
that's a win in my books.
That's awesome. I think ultimately we're not going to answer.
Felix just said he thinks Fanatics groups have a big voice. I being on the other side with playtesting, whatever, I actually don't think that's the case. The people that are the people that are screaming for the sake of screaming get found out. You know, that opinion is found out. Is there a hierarchy of opinion? Yes, if someone comes on whinging about something is broken when they've just played one person or one game, yeah, that opinion doesn't get treated as equally. So,
I just
but
been
yeah.
thinking a lot about that, like getting into Firefight and buying a lot of Firefight models and thinking about, Rob and I have talked about this, and I think we're doing the Mantic Challenge for a reason, which is I think at some point you got to put your money where your mouth is a little bit beyond just buying books to feel like and maybe that's elitist, whatever, to feel like your voice should be really heard by the company who's making the product. If you're not buying any of their stuff, then on some level, why should they listen to you? But then on the other hand, there's tons of TOs who maybe have not bought Mantic stuff, but through their work have grown the game and a lot of their. So I know it's not an easy, it's a nuanced question, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm one of those. Like, I just got my first Mantic army, but you know, I've built a relatively good community here and got, you know, 2 stores to carry it, a full line of Mantic product. So it's like, I don't know, like maybe I feel
books, you pay for Easy Army.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true. And like, I think and then you know, I feel a little guilty, but also like I did what I can. I had a whole bunch of stuff already ready to go, and it's a perfect game for that. Like Mantic has also created that perfect storm of making a game that's very easy to like not buy their product. But
and I buy, and I'm guilty of this myself. I buy other stuff all the time. I just think this is an interesting question for us to like roll around, you know.
Well, you have to look at that. You have to look, if you want, again, community building isn't just about adding players. It's like keeping the game afloat is part of community building. So if you want the game to be successful, you have to support it by buying products for the game from the company that makes it.
Yep. Cool. So why don't we should we do next week to be about the Mantic Challenge?
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Let's do that, because I think we're having trouble getting together for an actual episode. So why don't we just do the live stream as it?
Yeah, and apologies, we didn't really, you know, this is not a topic tonight that we can really going to get to actually answer, right? Like it's all opinion at the end of the day. But what I would say is, you would be doing yourself a great service if as you're building that community, just keep the casual narrative player in your head. Like, are they there? And if they are there, is there something I could, you know, locally? I know in the past, Trules Warner Gamer posted that he's doing a big good versus evil battle. That's something we've done in the past. So there are things you can do, and maybe it's just as simple as we play on Wednesday nights, but maybe 1 or 2 Wednesday nights a month, we're gonna make a rule. Just bring a fun list, right? Like, don't bring no tournament practice, right? And maybe that'll, you know, change it. Maybe we'll see some more folks that will show up, you know, because I do wonder, you know, all the smashing of the faces, practicing for tournaments it doesn't work for, you know, I think we have the same problem with other games like Legion and 40K, right? It's the same thing. They're always real competitive, and they're always practicing for the next big event. So, you know, maybe it's okay that you're not doing those things and you're just having a fun game. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. I mean, we're all winners if we're playing Kings of War. So
just take some weird units for once and just roll some dice.
You know what? A really fun tip is bring the worst list you can, and your opponent has to play it. We've done that lots of times. Ran like a worst army tournament, and trust me, you get some crappy, interesting things on the table.
Yeah, just remember, like, diversity and inclusion of player type within a gaming community adds to its strength and longevity. And in the end, if you want to be selfish and be like, I always want to have people to play against in tournaments, just know that the more inclusive and the better the game is for more people, the more likely you are going to be able to find people to play against. Because if a game system devolves down into just the 5 best players in the world, and that's all that who's there, you know, we've said it a bunch of times. Tournaments need players of all stripes and colors and plays and abilities. And I think the more healthy, robust systems are the ones that find spaces for all those different types of players. Mm-hmm. So, you know, just remember that, and remember at its core, you know, Mantic is a model company, and doesn't mean don't buy models you don't like, but I think they've gotten to the point now, well, there is something in there for most everyone that you're going to dig. Yep. So I think now we've reached that threshold where now I think it's like, look a little bit more at trying to support them if you love their game systems.
Yeah, especially for the more experienced players. Like, everyone has multiple armies at this point. You know, not everyone, but large numbers of us. So, you know, try to
we all have armies too. They're like sitting under the, you know, the table or whatever. They're not competitive, right?
Yeah.
And I bring it out every once in a while, like the all mounted goblin list. I'm like, oh god, gonna get smashed because I can't
Just
kill
build
anything.
a
they're fun.
300 point Mantic list to have it and paint it. It might be fun. You just might not have it given it a chance.
I'm excited about the Mantic Challenge though, and for
I
those that aren't on board, please jump on. It's going to be good stuff. Ronnie Renton's going to join us. We're going to have some other folks join us, some other celebrities, if you will.
Oh yeah, we got tons of surprises planned. It's going to be like a really cool few months. There may be some KOW AWS, some Army in a Weekend Spectacular action returning during this process. So
high intensity painting.
Oh yeah, stay tuned. I know Mark would love that. Some of that Army in a Weekend Spectacular action. So yeah, if you haven't listened to the Duncan episode, make sure you check it out. We've decided that in lieu of joining AARP, when I become old, I'm joining the Mark Zielinski 500 Point Army Club. That's the AARP version of old dudes in wargaming. As they retire, they just start painting smaller, multiple armies.
Yeah, so if you have questions, I had a few people ask about how they join the Countercharge Mantic Army Challenge, and I think we're just going to have some posts coming up over the next week.
June 1st it starts.
Weeks.
Yeah, we'll do a live stream next week about it. We'll probably also have a podcast going out at some point with some of the other participants that are jumping on with us, and we'll go over all the rules. It's real simple. 300 points a month for 7 months. So at the end of this, we got 2,100 point army. Doesn't have to be 100% Mantic. Just do your best. Right, it doesn't have to be Kings of War. It can be Firefight. It can be Dead Zone.
Our Dead Zone, our Armada. I may work on some Armada stuff one month.
Nice. That's a good idea.
Or hardcore mode for those of you Diablo players out there. We're gonna do both Firefight and Kings of War. So if you want to go hardcore, you're welcome to join us.
I'm just gonna be painting a Mantic and a non-Mantic army at the same time simultaneously.
That's what I'm doing. I still got to finish my Master's army.
Yeah.
So one model a month, Alex.
Absolutely.
2 models a month.
I'm aiming for maybe 3. Maybe 3.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. All good things come in 3s.
Well, all right. I think who wants to take us out?
Matt's been gone
Alex.
a while.
Yeah. Show them how it's done.
Tip of the hat,
By
Matt.
Crocky. Yeah.
That's
Thanks
all.
for joining us today, lads. Until next time, keep countercharging.
Lightning bolt. Lightning bolt. Lightning bolt.